It's taken 18 days for the rumours to start rolling and West Ham to start getting their backsides in gear in this January transfer window. It seems like we've got a few more players that are on the radar of West Ham United that could be a consequence of all the injuries that we've accumulated over the last month or so. But I'm here to discuss all of the rumours and give my opinion on them and whether I think they'll happen and whether I want these players to leave or join West Ham in the remainder of this January transfer window. I hope you are well. Welcome to the West Ham Transfer Speculation Show right here on West Ham Official. Coming up on today's show, Kalvin Phillips, another link to Kalvin Phillips. Could he join the club on loan? Benrahma is 1 foot out of the door for the Algerian. Willie Gnoto from Leeds, could he be joining West Ham? And that Armando Broja link has reinforced itself again, but with a hefty price tag. So without further ado, let's start off with Kalvin Phillips. He's had links in the last few days to Atletico Madrid and Barcelona, but there's been an intensifying rumour doing the rounds today about a potential transfer to West Ham United, which is interest to fans, of course, after once again in the Bristol City game with the absence of Edson Alvarez, how poor that midfield looks and whether Kalvin Phillips could fill that hole and whether he would want to fill that hole as well, because I just don't think we can currently guarantee him first team football. But let's take a little look at the rumour then. So this is from the Daily Mirror. There's various journalists and reporters and ITKs reporting this. West Ham are exploring the loan acquisition of Manchester City midfielder Kalvin Phillips. The Hammers do face stern competition from the likes of Newcastle and Crystal Palace for the former Leeds player. He is free to leave City this month. I think he's been given the blessing from Man City and Pep Guardiola after I think it's been a frustrated spell for him with the champions, where he's struggled and failed to really establish himself in that Manchester City midfield, which is an incredibly difficult thing to do, all things considered. Of course, we've been long admirers of Kalvin Phillips. We know that all too well. He seems like a player that we get linked with every single transfer window, regardless of the situation of him and West Ham. And I think we probably got quite close to him on a couple of occasions and it just hasn't quite worked out. And, we were open to bringing him in, when we got rid of Declan Rice in the summer. And of course, we went and got Edson Alvarez, which does look like the better of the two options, but it looks like we're revisiting this now. He also looked to sign him back in 2022 before he did make his £42 million transfer to the Etihad. The issue that we've currently got at this moment in time is that City are commanding a hefty loan fee and and they do favour an obligation to buy with the 28-year-old English midfielder. So that's where the current issue is. The Mirror are reporting that they want an obligation to buy to be stuck on the end of it, and I think probably West Ham are maybe a little bit sceptical about that part of the deal, but listen, I think it's a issue that we've got to address if we want to continue and try and be anywhere near 6th or 7th and continue in the cup competitions. Because when you take Alvarez out, it's the most blatantly obvious thing you will ever see in football, because we just fall apart. The balance of the side completely is obliterated, and he holds it all together. He's the linchpin of our midfield, Edson Alvarez, and I think Kalvin Phillips could play that role. We currently don't have a second player that can play that role. We let Flynn Downs go to Southampton on loan last summer, and we haven't sort of replaced him, and we've left ourselves in a bit of a hole where Souček and Ward-Prowse can't do the Alvarez role, and I think Phillips could fill that hole. But I think Moyes has got to take into consideration here, how are we going to fit all these players into a midfield? Because I don't want to be seeing Phillips, Ward-Prowse and Alvarez in a midfield, because there's no creativity there. You've got to fight a Paqueta in here when you've got Kudus and Bowen and all the rest of it fit. So if we sign him, there's got to be an understanding of either Ward-Prowse is going to have to sit on the bench, or Souček, or Phillips is going to have to sit on the bench until one of those picks up an injury or has a massive downturn in form. Will Kalvin Phillips want that? Will he then, if he knows that, if he's got that knowledge, then go, well, I want to go to Palace, who will give me guaranteed first team football, which is what he wants, essentially, Kalvin Phillips. He's gone to Man City, he's won all the trophies, but he wants to play football, and he's not doing that up in Manchester, and that's what he'll want and that's the guarantee that it'll be after if he signs for a new club, that he wants to guarantee first team football week in, week out. And I don't think we're in the position to do that. That's the issue that I have. And in the past, I've turned my nose up at Kalvin Phillips, but for the first time when this rumour resurfaced in the last couple of days, I went, you know what, I'd take him, because we've got a glaring issue there in terms of a number 6 player that can fit that role well when Alvarez isn't there. And he can also carry the ball forward as well. There's been a bit of a debate about whether he can be a ball carrier, but we don't really have a player that can pick up the ball and drive with it like number 41 did last season, etc., etc. So look, I think he's a good player, but I think there's some. There's currently some obstacles in the way of us signing him. Whether it's the agreement in principle, and then Kalvin Phillips agreeing to probably not a guarantee of first team football, because I just don't think we can, unless he's going to put Kalvin Phillips ahead of Souček or Ward-Prowse, which I currently don't see him doing. So look, if it ends up with a Ward-Prowse, Alvarez and Phillips midfield, there's no creativity there, and then we present ourselves with another issue. So look, I don't think he's the savior of all our problems, Kalvin Phillips, but if he's up to it, I think he can definitely fill a gap, but it will be off the bench if I'm reading the situation right. Let's move on to Saeed Benrahma next. Could that infamous kick out to the ribs of that Bristol City player in the FA Cup tie on Tuesday be his last kick for West Ham United? It wasn't of a ball, it was of a player's ribs, and I think that might just finish him off. Marseille are sniffing around the Algerian international who failed to get in the squad, in the Algeria squad for the ongoing AFCON campaign this month, and I think that's probably added to his frustrations that probably boiled over and accumulated in him, lashing out in a really, really bizarre fashion on Tuesday in the FA Cup. And look, I think it's probably time that we part ways with him, to be honest with you. You know, he was sent off on Tuesday, and West Ham would ideally like to land a replacement before we let him go, because at the moment we've got a quite unstable affair with players because of the sheer amount we've got out, either injured or playing elsewhere in terms of Mohamed Kudus. And I think his time's up at West Ham, to be honest. He's given us some good moments. He's been an incredibly frustrating player that just hasn't quite reached the heavy heights that he reached at Benrahma at Brentford, which we were all hoping to see. And he's been given countless opportunities. And you know what? I think we're all accustomed to the fact that he's just simply not good enough anymore. And listen, I'll always be grateful for him for slotting that penalty away to give us a lead in the Europa Conference League final, but we can't be living in the past if we want to progress and not stand forward, because if we stand forward, we're going back. We need to progress, and having players like Benrahma, Ings, Fornals in the squad isn't helping our situation whatsoever. We need to shift out this dead wood, and we need to do it over the next couple of transfer windows, because we're going to go back otherwise, because they're just not good enough. The quality is not there. And I think we're rightfully trying to get rid of Saeed Benrahma. Marseille have already seen a loan bid with a permanent transfer option rejected, but the French giants are continuing to sniff around the Algerian international. Premier League sides have also made contact, according to the Mirror, with his representatives, including his former employer. Brentford have requested his availability, but there has been no concrete movement on that front to date. So look, it's not at a stage that's increasingly extended at this point. It's not going to happen right here, right now. But X has also came out and said that there's an expectation that he will probably leave the club in the next couple of weeks. So it probably will happen, but at this current stage, nothing's at an advanced stage where we can confidently and solidly say he's definitely going. But there seems to be a club fan base wide expectation that either Fornals or Benrahma won't be a West Ham player come the end of this January transfer window, when that door slams shut at 11 o'clock on Thursday, the 1st of February. Willy Gnotto was a player that has been linked with West Ham over the last couple of days, and that's another sort of option that I'm a little bit skeptical about. Sorry if I can get my words out. And listen, we've got interest there. We don't know how solid it is. There's different reporters saying different things regarding the concrete evidence about our interest in him. Apparently it's there. And listen, he didn't blow me away last year when he was in the Premier League. He had a couple of good games, probably not consistent enough to be a really good Premier League player at this current moment in time. But I mean, there's growth in these players, and I don't watch Leeds week in, week out. I don't know whether he's regressed or progressed this season in the Championship, whether it's done him any good or not. I've genuinely got no idea, but there seems to be a few reporters saying that there is interest from West Ham in Willie Gnoto. How much would they want? 15, 20 million plus? I'm not sure. And if we let go Benrahma, he seems to be the front runner currently to replace him in the West Ham squad. I think it's fair to say. But look, we'll see what happens. That again is not at an advanced stage, but we have rumours that Willie Gnoto could move to West Ham, and there's a solid interest from the Hammers, and we will be requesting his availability to Leeds very, very shortly. So look, we'll see. I think it's definitely one to keep an eye on. You know, there's been plenty to keep an eye on in his transfer window. Jack Clark, Stephen Bergwijn amongst those names on the West Ham shortlist as well. The club are quietly optimistic of bringing in some new faces before the deadline, according to some reports. I wasn't expecting too many players to come in this window. If we get any, I'll be surprised. If we let one go, then I'll expect a player to come in replacement. But if we don't let anyone go, I'll be surprised if we bring anyone in. There's been a few rumours, as I said, Bergwijn, Clark, Gnoto now, Kalvin Phillips, Broja is another one that I'm going to come on to now. According to reports, Chelsea have labelled a £50 million price tag on Armando Broja. It's yet another name that gets resurfaced every single transfer window in the West Ham transfer world. He just seems to pop up as a rumour, regardless of the situation, similar to Kalvin Phillips. So not going to read anything too much into it. £50 million is just we're just simply not in that position to pay that currently, with FFP and profit and sustainability hurting clubs. We've got to be just a little bit wary of these things and make sure that we are 100% not going to break any of these rules, because the Premier League are breathing down clubs' necks about it. And I think £50 million is ridiculous, to be honest with you. Yes, we are currently without a proven striker, and yes, I think that Mikel Antonio will leave the club in the summer, but I don't think this is an issue that we should be addressing in this window. I think we should more focus on probably the midfield area, because Antonio will come back. He can play some minutes. Bowen and Kudus, if they consistently continue to score goals, then I don't think we're going to have a huge issue there. So I don't think that's top of the priority list, but I think Moyes would like to see a central striker brought in his perfect wish list, but unfortunately we don't all get what we want, and I think that's probably a little bit optimistic to think that we'll bring in a striker in this window, especially with more wingers and midfielders tends to be the links that we're currently getting through the grapevine. But look, that nothing at all is at an advanced stage at the moment. A couple of players that we're expecting to leave the club, and then if that happens, I'd expect a couple of players to come into the club. Will they be Kalvin Phillips or Gnoto? I don't know, but they seem to be the more recent and solid links that are coming out of the reports today. So I thought I'd give you a little cheeky update on those. So yeah, what's your thoughts on Phillips, Gnoto, Benrahma leaving potentially? Put all that into the comment section down below. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. But until the next one, come on you irons. Hopefully we can do a bit of business before the end of the window, but we will see. I'll keep you updated. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.